Back here, hope everyone's feeling pretty good. So we're going to start today with classes. If you are new to class, to movable bodies, two very common terms that you're going to hear me use in this class here is referring to what I call as a hollow and an arch. And what these positions are referring to is referring to the position and posture of our spine as it relates to our pelvis here. So whenever I say hollow, what I really have to trying to do here is with your glutes, you're squeezing your glutes, you're contracting the glutes. At the same time, you're tightening the abdomen, which pulls your sternum down toward your pelvis. And your pelvis tilts back from squeezing the glutes. And you notice like a nice round, curved posture with the back. And so your pelvis is tucked. And it's the exact opposite. When we do the arch, your back is curved the other way. It's nice and straight, but also arched there. And our pelvic is forward, it has a forward tilt towards here. And ideally what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using concepts of both from the hollow, like squeezing our glutes and our abdomen, and from the arch. And ideally, we'll get a nice neutral posture that is like a nice combination of the two, which is the purpose of this class, which is to address posture. And it's to address mobility, things of that nature. So what we're going to do is we're going to start on our chair at the very front. Feet are shoulder width apart, hands are on top of our knees. In this position here, what we're going to do is we're going to go into a little hollow, okay? So we're going to squeeze those glutes a little bit, which you can do while you're sitting. And we're going to pull that sternum down by contracting our abdomen. Our back will round out. Very nice. What we're going to do is we're going to very slowly start to lean back in our chair. You're going to notice that your weight is going to shift from your feet towards your hips. And just before, and you're going to pause just before the weight completely leaves your feet. You're going to hold. Now again, in this position, your chest should lift it up. You should still have a nice little rounded back posture. You should really feel the stomach having to work here in this position. What we're going to do is we're going to kind of slide our left hand up towards the knee, and our right hand is going to come back towards us, but we want to keep the arm straight. What that forces us to do is it's going to force us to rotate to the side, where basically if it's my right hand moving forward, my left hand coming back, I'm rotating towards the left. Then I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to do the other thing. I'm going to push that left hand forward, slide the right hand back, and you'll notice that my torso rotates toward the right, but I'm still leaned back and breathing. And we're going to rotate to the other side. One more time. And come back to the middle and lean forward. Now, if you notice that you're breathing pretty heavy here, okay, that's all right. This definitely means we're working, but hopefully it does not mean that you're holding your breath. It does get difficult to breathe easily in this position here. You might notice your breathing becomes shallow. As long as you're still breathing, that's what matters. And if you need to, think about breathing through the nose. Inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth. Okay? We're going to do that one more time, okay? Hands on top. But this time what I want you to do is after we do a little hollow, squeeze the glutes, squeezing the abdomen, keeping our arms straight, I want us to push down with the palms of our hands onto the knee. One thing you'll notice is when you push down and you push down hard, your chest will try to lift up, but because we're hollowing a little bit here, your chest won't lift up. What will happen is your shoulders will roll back and down instead, and it will straighten out your spine a little bit more into a nice neutral position. But you should still keep squeezing the stomach muscles as we start to tilt back now, letting the weight shift from the feet to the hips. Just before the weight completely leaves our feet, we're going to pause. Now I'm pushing down still. I am very much so actively engaging those muscles that help keep my arms straight and the muscles that help push the palms of my hands into the thigh. And I'm breathing very slowly. Start to slide those hands up the thighs. We come nice and upright. One more time. Let's come back. Try not to let go. Keep those muscles contracted. Your stomach's contracted. You're pushing those palms down into the thigh. Breathing. Going forward. And relax. Woo! I never really feel that here. Those of you who wish to stay seated, you can. The majority of these exercises, you can do them fairly easily in a seated position. Those of us who wish to join me, we're going to go ahead. We're going to grab our dowel here. So whenever I'm using this dowel, I'm just referring to that PVC. Okay, we're going to reach forward. Now, when I say reach forward, what I'm really looking for here is I don't want you to lean forward. I just want you to reach forward with your arms. Notice that your upper back will kind of round out a little bit. Reaching forward. You'll feel those muscles stretch out a little bit in the back. Now I want you to slowly bring PVC into front of your pelvis, into the front of your thigh. Now I want you to squeeze the PVC into the thigh really hard. Notice now our shoulders are going to roll back and down. And if you squeeze hard enough, you might notice that your back starts to arch. You really feel those lats light up. There's muscles on the side, that parts of our back. Now this time, relax. Squeeze your glutes first. Squeeze the stomach muscles. Keep that sternum from lifting up by keeping the abdomen engaged. Now push in hard. Notice that the chest isn't lifting up now, but your shoulders are definitely rolling back and down a little bit. Right here, this is probably one of the best exercises, in my opinion, besides bracing against the wall, to really demonstrate a nice neutral spine here. Continuing to breathe. Now just really squeeze hard into that thigh using the PVC. Now relax just for a little bit, just with the arms. Keep your glutes and the abdomen nice and contracted. Spread your legs out a little bit. Okay, now squeeze the bar back in. That kind of mess things up for you a little bit here. I want you to bend the knees a little bit. You might notice that it's a little bit more difficult to squeeze the glutes. It's okay. Still keep trying. And what I want you to do is you push the bar into your thigh slowly while keeping your chest from concaving. Okay, and keeping your abdomen tight, but you're squeezing, keeping those lats engaged. It's going to help keep those shoulders back and down. We're going to slide this PVC down your leg. Okay? What should happen is you can still maintain that neutral spine a little bit here, okay? And just before it gets to the knee, you pause. Keep squeezing that bar to the thigh, okay? Keep squeezing. Keep squeezing. And we're slowly come up. And relax. Good job. Take it out a little bit here. if I can, you know, a little bit more. Here we go. A little bit brighter here. All right. Now, whew, do all that, right? Let's keep our PVC. Let's take a seat real quick. Feet just underneath the knees. What we're going to do is we're going to try to break up some of our shoulder tissue, some of that soft tissue there, kind of loosen it up a little bit here. What we're going to do is we're going to bring our PVC not behind our neck, but to the top part of our shoulders. Okay, so where that meaty part of our shoulders is, not touching my neck, it's on the back of my shoulders. Now, if you have trouble getting it there, the alternative is that you have the PVC touching your clavicle and push the elbows forward a little bit, okay? Ideally, our forearms are nice and vertical, okay? So if you get it behind you, what we're going to do here is we're just going to rotate our chair towards the left. And we're going to rotate towards the right. We're going to come back to the middle. Now we're going to tilt strictly to the side. Let's go down towards the right. And then towards the left. Now what I want us to do is I want us to do like little figure eights here. So basically it's going to look like this. Okay? So start off leading with the right, pushing forward and lifting it up. Left goes down, then you switch. Keep it in a nice, continuous movement. Switch directions. Just trying to work that upper part. Push. Just trying to focus on that shoulder girdle here. That thoracic mobility. All right, side to side again. This time you're going to do it dynamically. Going side to side, not slowly, just kind of in and out. And now tilting side to side. Good. Bring that dowel down. Shake those arms out a little bit. Not too bad, right? All right. Since we're already in our chair right here, my shoulders are nice and prime, crisp and prim. We're going to make sure we're set up correctly. Knees are shoulder width apart. Heels directly underneath the knees. The PVC. I'm going to put it on top of my thigh, close to the knee. I'm going to contract my glutes a little bit and my stomach muscles. And now I'm going to squeeze that PVC and pushing the PVC down into my lap. I'm really using those arms, keep those arms straight. Okay. Not bad. Now, it's easy. And start to come back. Put the knee back in that chair a little bit. Keep squeezing those stomach muscles. Keep breathing as best as you can. Notice that your back shouldn't feel arched. Those abdomen, the abdominal muscles are working hard right now because the weight has shifted from my feet pretty much all the way into my hips here, but I'm not leaning back in the chair yet. Or I'm not falling back. I'm still pushing in pretty good. And then I'm going to push forward. Take a breath. Keep breathing. Go back again. Continuously pushing that PVC to the thigh. Squeezing the stomach muscles, holding, breathing, don't hold your breath. Going forward, one more time, okay? Coming back. Keep pushing down with the dowel, best you can. Breathing. And pushing forward. And relax, good job. Go ahead, stand up, shake it out a little bit. The next thing we're going to do, with PVC, we're going to put it back behind. Or again, if you have trouble holding it here, we're going to have it in front. Your clavicle, but we're trying to keep your elbows pointed down. I understand if you have it behind you, it might be a little bit more difficult to do that. And just real quick, where we have this PVC in this position here, we want to do our best to try to keep our arms, our forearms vertical, our elbows pointed down. What we're going to do here, we're going to squeeze our glutes, tighten the abdomen, and let's push both elbows forward. Make sure you're breathing. Relax the elbows back, keep your stomach engaged, keep those glutes engaged, push them forward again. You should feel your back is trying to arch, but you're doing such a great job keeping those stomach muscles engaged that that sternum is not lifting up and that back is staying nice and neutral. Bring the elbows back. Now let's just push the left elbow forward. Notice it doesn't move far at all. Okay, come back. Let's do the right elbow. Switch. Back to the left. Now rotate towards the right with the left elbow forward. Come back to the center. Relax that left elbow. Right elbow comes forward. Rotate that guy towards the left. Going back to the center. Relax that right elbow. Left elbow comes forward. Rotate towards the right one more time. Breathing. Nice and easy. Back to the middle. Relax that left elbow. Right elbow comes forward, rotating towards the left. You're still squeezing the abdomen. You're still squeezing your glutes here. Back to the middle and relax those arms. Bring that piece down. Shake it out a little bit. Woo! Yeah, you feel that, right? All right. Now, next shoulder position that we're going to do, this one's where we're going to take the PVC. I'm going to put it up behind my back, so I'm going to have my left hand on PVC. It's going to be at the bottom of it. I'm going to put it behind my back, so my hand is just behind the lower part of my back. And notice I have this extra bit of PVC sticking out above my head. I'm going to grab that with the other arm. And if I can, if not, it's okay, but if I can, I'm going to slide that hand down just behind my neck, okay? If you are staying seated, it might be a little too close, or a little too close quarters in your chair to actually put that PVC in the right place. That's what the yoga strap here is for. Okay, so you can sling this guy up over your shoulder, reach back, grab that in with that left hand, and then tighten up and make sure that there's no slack in there, okay? And effectively, we're going to be in the same position here, okay? And again, if it's easier for you, you can hold your strap just like this, just kind of like we are with the PVC. That way, it will be a little bit easier to maneuver. Okay, so now that we're here, I want us to pull our elbows back. Pay attention to how much of your spine is actually, or how much of your back is in contact with the PVC. Relax elbows forward. Now this time, squeeze your glutes first. Follow your spine just a little bit. So just tighten those abdominal muscles, just so. Now pull the elbows back. Notice they might not have gone back as far, that's okay. But you should notice that we're not arching our back as much though, which is ideal. Don't want to be arching our back too much. We're in a nice and neutral spine. Go ahead and relax. Bring the PVC down. Take the arms out. I know, it's pretty laborious trying to keep it in that position. Okay? One last time. Left arm, bottom, comes up, same position. At this time, we're going to bring our feet a little wider. What I'm going to do in this position here is I'm going to squeeze my glutes, I'm going to tighten my abdomen. Then I'm going to pull my elbows back. It's going to help engage that upper body. Okay? I'm going to bend my knees slightly. Ooh, have you noticed that your back may have already arched? Mine just went right into it. It's as if I wasn't following at all. So stand back up. Squeeze those glutes again. Really emphasize the hollow right now. Okay? So make sure it's your abdomen that's really doing a lot of the work here, okay? Pull your elbows back slightly. Now bend the knees slowly. Notice how much more difficult it is to hold the hollow here. Yeah, it is. It's very difficult to hold a hollow here. Now, we're going to hinge at our hip, keeping our head above the level of our heart, coming forward, keeping the abdomen nice and tight. Going back up. Bend the knee one more time, hinging forward. Really make sure that you haven't lost that hollow, a little bit of a hollow there. Come back up and relax. Bring the PVC down. Woo! You never felt your shoulders working so hard there. Now, for those of you who are actually in this position and it's not actually bothering your shoulders, it's not actually fatiguing your shoulders to hold this PVC in that position, kudos to you. Your mobility is very good. And you're not having to actually fight a lot of residual tension that typically comes from the posture from sitting down for prolonged periods of time, or other bad habits that honestly aren't going to help us move effectively and efficiently through our environment. We're going to switch hands. We're going to do all that over again with the other side here, okay? So right hand, bottom, coming up, reach up. We won't spend as much time with this side here because we already know what we're trying to get to in terms of our position. Okay? We're going to bend the knees, but before we do, squeeze the glutes a little bit. Squeeze the abdomen. Bend the knees a little. And we're going to hinge forward at the hip. Come back up. Squeeze the glutes. Squeeze the stomach muscles. Now pull your elbows back a little bit. Try not to lose the hollow. Okay? Now we're hinging. And we'll come back up. Good job. Woo! You go ahead and take that guy out. Oh my goodness. That's rough, isn't it? It's very rough. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a little load off of our shoulders here. Just a little bit, not too much of a load. We're gonna put the PVC down to the side. We're gonna pick our strap up, and everybody can take a seat here. What we're gonna do is we're gonna loop. These yoga straps have little notches, maybe 5 inches or so, or 6 inches. And we're gonna loop one of those middle ones through our foot. Like so. What we're gonna do here is we should have tension on the yoga strap, okay? Sitting up nice and tall, toes pointed up back to you. What we're gonna do is we're gonna squeeze our glutes a little bit. We're gonna really squeeze the abdomen. I want you to pull your shoulders back and down a little bit, just enough to the point where you have tension on the band. And without leaning back, really making those stomach muscles have to work here, okay? That's what's gonna happen. Is what we're gonna do, the only thing that should move is you're just gonna pull your elbows back and your leg is gonna lift up. Notice that I didn't lean forward, I didn't lean back. My torso didn't move. Now, the harder that you squeeze, engage those stomach muscles, the less that your back is gonna have to do. Or the less you should feel your back having to work excessively. Okay? Bring it down. Make sure you're still breathing. Remember, we're not holding our breath. We're just holding the contraction. Pull those elbows back, squeezing those stomach muscles nice and tight. Pull those elbows back. Still sitting up nice and tall, and bring it down. Good job. All right. Let's switch feet here. The concept that this exercise promotes here is what's important as we move throughout our environment is that our trunk, which is our spine, maintains and performs its function as acting as a stable environment through which kinetic energy can pass throughout our body. Typically, as we kind of push from the earth to whatever object that we're doing, that we're trying to push against or pull against, things like that, that it can move that energy effectively through our body. And putting our body in positions of leverage does require good posture as we go through range of motion, mobility. That's a big difference between mobility and flexibility. Flexibility is a characteristic of our muscle. Mobility is more of a characteristic of how our joints move while maintaining the posture that we need to protect ourselves. So being able to maintain a neutral spine as we go through a squat is very important. Being able to maintain a good position requires good mobility in our hips and in our ankles. It does also require good flexibility of our quadriceps and our hamstrings and our calves and things of that nature. But this class is here to really promote that mobility. Now, same thing here. Sitting up nice and tall, contracting those abdominal muscles. We're going to pull those elbows back, and we won't move back at all. That leg, the only thing that's going to move is that leg's going to move up. And we're still sitting up nice and tall. Continue to breathe. And we're going to come down. Nice and easy. Take a second. You'll keep those muscles nice and tight. Contract it and pulling this elbows back. That leg comes up. Squeezing those stomach muscles as best you can. And coming down and resting. Good job. Whew. Not bad, right? No, not bad at all. Not bad. Ooh, shake it out, shake it out, shake it out. Woo! You feel all that, right? Okay. Let's go ahead and take our strap. Toss this guy to the side. I'm going to give us a break from the PVC. You can go ahead and stand up. Those of you in your seat, make sure you stay at the head of your seat here. What we're going to do some cues, okay? So, we're going to hold our hands up, kind of like in the shape of a W. Our arms up, in the shape of a W here. Okay? Like someone, someone told you to freeze. Put your hands up. I'm going to read you your Miranda rights in a moment. What we're going to do here is we're going to try to imagine as if we were passing through a wall, a very thin wall, okay? If you were traveling through like a crack in a tunnel or something like that, and the walls were very, very close to each other, and you got to squeeze through, okay? All right? So you're just kind of moving side to side. As you move side to side, think about keeping your elbows from pushing backwards. And keep your hands from pushing forward. It's another way of saying push my elbows forward and pull my hands back, such that my forearms are nice and vertical. And as you do this, I want you to continue to move back and forth. Side to side, like 4 steps in one direction, then switch back and go the other way. Spread your arms out a little bit, in a little bit, and see how well, as you move, how well can you maintain this position? Pushing those elbows forward, pulling those hands back. Okay? Now, shake it out a little bit. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to go down and back. We're going to go out 4 steps and back 4 steps, doing that movement. Now, as you do that movement, I want you to take notice of what spine position you're in. Okay, is your spine neutral? Do you feel like there's a lot of tension in your lower back? Are you arching too much? Should we be arching at all? Is your back rounded? Things like that. Just try to take notice of that. If you have a mirror near you, things like that. So let's do 4 steps, okay? The cues I want you to take note of here are pushing the elbows forward, pulling the hands back to you, and maintaining this posture throughout, okay? Now go ahead. You got 1, 2, 3, 4. Keep pushing those elbows forward. Keep pulling those hands back. And go 1, back, 2, 3, 4. Come down. Now, if you notice that your back is arching because you feel like your back is pretty tight, especially once you notice the difference when you're putting your arms back down there, probably because your back is arching a little bit there. Now, that doesn't mean necessarily arch, but those muscles are engaging, okay? So, what I want us to do is we're going to do the same thing again, except I want us to, push the elbows forward, pull the hands back, squeeze the glutes a little bit, and tighten up the abdomen. Now we're going to go 4 steps out, 4 steps back. And I want you to do that out movement here. So we're going to 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Did it feel like your back was arched? Did you feel like your back was tight at all? Coming out of that position right there, ideally what would happen is you should notice a difference here, and the difference should be that you weren't having to really use your lower back at all to go through that movement. While you're pushing those elbows forward and lifting those hands back, keeping those glutes tight and contracted, and keeping those stomach muscles nice and engaged. As we went through this movement, and only keep in mind we're just slipping through a crack. Going by two people at a party. You know, we all know how those are going on right now. We're not having to really use that lower back as much if we're keeping our spine nice and neutral. But you might notice that if first time you're doing it, when you're pushing those elbows forward, lifting those arms back, when we do that, that back is arched there. So it's very common, maybe not on every single day basis, but whenever we have an objective that is related to an object being in our hand, or having to push something or pull something away, where we fixate on the object as it relates to where it is in our hand, and we just focus on our hand in relation to our body. We don't really pay attention to what's going on between our hand and the mid part of our body, which means what motion's actually taking place. So when you're pushing things away, let's say like you're lifting up a tray and you're kind of walking by somebody, walking around your house, lifting something up over a table, things like that, we tend to forget about what's going on here. Now hopefully what we just demonstrated and you were able to actually feel the difference here, and we'll do it again, is when your body your spine is not in a very good neutral position, unless you have some insane mobility, thinking about like, having to hold something up here a little bit, which you might have to do, and walking around with this object, you're not paying attention to where your spine position is. You might, when you put something down, you're like, man, it's killing my back. It's like, well, why is it killing your back? Are we not in good position? So let's do this part again. Okay, so like we did the first time, just push your elbows back and then pull your hand. Push your elbows forward, pull your hands back, and just kind of let your spine do whatever it's going to do. You don't need to worry about squeezing your glutes. Don't worry about tightening the abdomen. Just push those elbows forward, lift the hands back. Now let's do those 4 reps again. So coming out, reach out with the arms a little bit up to the side. One more. Now step back. Push those elbows forward. Pull those hands back. And put it down. And if you notice right now that your back is kind of having to work, or if you were noticing during the movement there, your back was kind of lit up a little bit, you can really feel those lower back muscles working here. Probably means our back was a little arched, or that you were trying to arch. Now again, let's, one more time, push the elbows forward, pull the hands back, don't contract your glutes, do not contract the abdomen, just focus on pushing the elbows forward, pulling the hands back, going out to the side, just for 4 reps, 2, 3, 4, and back, 1, push the elbows forward, pull the hands back, 2, 3, 4, put it down, shake it out a little bit. This time, push the elbows forward, pull the hands back, squeeze your glutes. Squeeze the abdomen. Keep your chest from lifting up. Chest should be squared forward. Shouldn't be pointed up at all. Doesn't have to be pointed down to the ground. Elbows are forward, hands are back, squeezing the glutes, squeezing the abdomen. Go out 4 reps. 1, 2, 3, 4. Back 1, elbows forward, hands back, glutes and squeeze, squeeze abdomen. 2, 3, 4. Good job, and relax. What you should notice a good difference too between those is first couple times you just did that, going back and forth. You weren't probably aware of much going on here at all. You weren't really trying to do much there. It's not a very stable environment. But when you were doing that right there, hopefully you felt like your trunk, your spine, and your core was a little bit more solid. And hopefully it felt like it was a little more stable as you're moving back and forth through here. You can feel the difference there because we're actually engaging this belt that we have. It's like a weight belt that's ingrained in our abdominal cavities Mostly it's referred to as our transverse abdominal area, that muscle that helps us create this 360-degree contraction all throughout the midsection, including the lower back, that helps actually create pressure in the abdominal cavity, and that helps prevent our lumbar spine from over-accentuating its lordotic curve. It's very important, especially when we're loading our spine, we're carrying things or picking things up, or maybe we're moving a dish across the room over a table, Yeah. So just keeping in mind when we're doing things like that, our heels are on the ground, our abdomen's engaged, and we're paying attention to that spatial, that proprioception, that kinesthesia, placing our body in space and time, things like that. That's why I'm always constantly viewing. Okay, so let's grab PVC one last time. Right now we're going to demonstrate a little bit more of an accentuated example here. So either you want to put the PVC behind you or just in front of your clavicle. You push the elbows forward. Okay. PVC kind of helps keep your hands back unless it's in front of here, in which case you're cueing yourself to keep it in contact with the clavicle. Pushing the elbows forward. Now what I want us to do here is I want us to take us a big step to the side. Just like that. Big step to the side. Come back. Big step. Now, squeeze your glutes. Squeeze the abdomen. Elbows are forward. Keep everything tight. Now, big step. Big step. Come back. 1, 2. You should also feel the same difference here. There's a little bit more stability. And by stability, I'm also referring to a level of control. We have more stability, we have more control, we have, and that's really important. Again, whether or not we have something that you might consider to be lightweight, doesn't weigh very much at all. To get in this position, we're going to make sure we're controlling our position. Okay? Let's put our feet down. Stand up. Hands in front of our thigh. We're going to run through this last bit right here. A little closing movement. We're going to squeeze our glutes, tighten the abdomen, and we're going to slide our hands down our thigh. Like we're reaching towards you. Okay? Now, start to squeeze the palms of your hands into the front of your thigh, and now we're going to slowly raise up, but I want you to keep squeezing the abdomen. So now, I really want, the further that you start to come upright, don't let your chest lift. I don't want your chest to point up. The furthest it's going to go, it's just going to point straight ahead. And you'll notice that continue moving up, forward, what's going to happen is your shoulders are going to roll back and down. You'll notice that you have your hands are going to want to creep out to the side. You can keep them in front. Notice that our back is not overly arched, but it's not rounded anymore either. Come down, reach down, squeeze those glutes, squeeze the abdomen. Reach down towards the knees, let's come up nice and easy. Squeezing those palms of our hands to our thighs, sitting up nice and tall. Keep the stomach nice and tight. Squeeze the palms of those hands into your thighs real hard, keeping those arms straight. Notice the shoulders roll back and down. Now very quickly, let go, relax, breathe. Good job, everybody. Well done. I'll see y'all next